Hey guys, Tyler here from Last Blood 26 YouTube channel. Here we are in Coquitlam, BC, Canada, and we're on location at the First Blood Junkyard. This is where they filmed First Blood with Sylvester Stallone. We're here in the junkyard. Stallone himself sat here with his good old trusty Jimmy Lyle First Blood knife. And I may have recognized this scene. And here we are. We're going to do a Pohl Force knife review of some awesome Pohl Force knives that you guys can still get on their website right now. For example, the new Quebec 2. This is an awesome knife, guys. I absolutely love this Quebec 2. These finger grooves are awesome. They just fit your hand like a glove. You're basically wearing like a glove knife. Inside the compartment, you have a compartment where you can put matches, fishing line, any kind of survival gear you might want. Just awesome. Very smooth contours here. They're serialized. So I got number 310. Yeah, it's a continuation of an upgrade from the Quebec 1. So you have a finger choil here as well. And yes, you can use a finger choil. If you choke up all the way, yeah, you're gonna nick your finger a little bit. But if you use just the tip of your finger, just like so, you can easily chop still, right? Get branches out of the way. You can easily baton with, still using the finger choil. It's not an issue. It's not an issue, guys. The knife is 12 inches overall, 7-inch blade. Comes with a black G10 scales. You can use a key, Pohl Force key that it comes with. It's also on a lanyard, and you just unscrew these screws and you have access to the compartment. And it's super easy, really quick to do. You don't have to worry about Loctite and stripping screws and all that garbage like you do with a lot of other knives. So I got nothing but great things to say with this knife. It's D2 steel, but it's an awesome D2 steel. Okay, Pohl Force does an awesome job with their heat treat on D2. It's not a super steel like S35BN and some of those other high-end steels. This is a mid-range steel, but it's awesome and perfect for this knife, especially for bushcrafting out in the field as a survival knife, because you have that corrosion resistance, you have that toughness. It's not going to rust on you, and it's going to be tough, and it retains its edge. That's what's great with this steel, especially the Pohl Force D2 steel. It retains its edge for a long time. And I know firsthand, I have the Tactical 8 version of the MK8. It's also in D2 steel. And man, like I've been using that knife for about a year in the bush, batoning with it, cutting all my wood for fires and stuff like that. And the edge lasted a year before I had to sharpen it, and I didn't even have to sharpen it. I just kind of felt like sharpening it. So that it just goes to show, you know, your edge will go a long ways. I use other knives in the bush too, like I use the SE6 and the SE Junglist 1095 steel, also great knives. They're my go-to knives for being out in the bush until I started using my Pohl Force knives, like my Tactical 8 out in the field. But the problem is, like, the SEs, yeah, the edge would start chipping, it would rust, like you're just maintaining it all the time. About 30 minutes, 40 minutes after chopping, okay, the knife is a lot slower. It's just not going through the wood the same. However, my Tactical 8, still sharp, out of the box, right through the wood like butter. So yeah, guys, don't be afraid of the steel. Don't let that be a deal breaker, right? Because it's proven, it's tested, and it's super strong. You know, that's another concern sometimes is with D2 is it's so strong it can be brittle, whereas it's nice with the 1095 on SEs and K-bars, an example. You get that extra, yeah, it chips, but it's not going to break, right? Well, neither is this. It's not going to do either. It's not going to break and it's not going to chip. Okay, and I've proven that time and time again, and we'll do that today here in the junkyard. We'll do some chopping, we'll hopefully do some batoning if we can find some wood. There's not a lot around here, but if I can find some, we're going to do that, and we're going to do that with the MK11 right? That hasn't been done before on YouTube. I look all the time. There's a few videos of guys flashing it around, but nothing of some actual use in seeing what this thing can actually chop through. So we're gonna do that today. We're also gonna have the MK9, the MK8 if you guys want to see that, but more importantly, the Legacy knife. All right, man, this thing is absolutely awesome, absolutely beautiful. Here it is next to the Quebec 2. So this is basically First Blood and Last Blood MK9, and then you get the Legacy. So it has the features of the original Jimmy Lyle knife. You have the saw, you have the Phillips screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, compartment for survival gear, compartment for survival gear. Same thing in the screws, guys. Super easy to take off these screws, just like the Quebec 2. You don't need to worry about Loctite or stripping screws or any of that, right? They're so easy to take off. This is a 12-inch knife with a 7-inch blade, and this one I think we're looking at like 14 inches overall. So it's a big knife. Also comes with a lanyard, but this is another nice lanyard that you can get on Pohl Force website, sold separately, but awesome look to this, say. Like, it just looks really cool. I'm really happy with that lanyard, with these lanyards. And I also put it on the Quebec 2 here, because sometimes the longer ones are okay. It's nice to wrap around your hand if you're worried about dropping the knife. You're not going to lose it down a creek or a ravine or anything. I've found I've ended up chopping the lanyard sometimes when it's the long dangly one, so it's nice to have kind of just a shorter one. And the leather sheath on this is absolutely unreal. Italian leather, made by Radar in Italy, and then this knife itself was made in Italy by Lion Steel Knives. Right, great knife company. If you guys aren't familiar with Lion Steel, they just do absolutely awesome work with their knives. I have a few of their knives as well that I use for bushcrafting, like the T5 for example. Awesome knife. So yeah, guys, these Pohl Force knives, you're basically, you know, getting the same quality, if not even better, you know, than Lion Steel, which is awesome. And that's, you know, you're paying that extra few dollars for that really good quality, so it's worth it, because they go over the knives with a fine, you know, with a magnifying glass, you know, to make sure that you're getting a really nice, good quality product. And if there isn't even the slightest blemish, for example, my Tactical 8 has the slightest blemish in the steel. I can barely even see it. It's just a little bit of a shadow. They marked it as a field grade and discounted the price, but still functionality wise works absolutely perfect. And so that just goes to show a lot about the quality control of Pohl Force, and you don't get that with other knife companies. You know, you go to Cabela's or an outdoor store and you pick up a Buck, a Benchmade, a Tops, Bark River, those knives, and a lot of times you're going to find flaws, and it's a 50-50 chance whether you get an actual good quality product, especially with folders. But even fixed blades, you know, you'll have unsharpened blades, bad grinds, you'll have loose scales, crappy screws, you know, sheaths that are terrible. Like, the quality control these days is just not there. With Pohl Force, it's absolutely there, so it's worth to pay that extra few dollars to get that awesome quality control, as well as their Pohl Force company, especially Dietmar Pohl. They're just super passionate about his knives, and about the company, and a lot of times, you know, it's easy to correspond with Pohl Force, and a lot of times you're talking to Dietmar himself, which is really cool, the CEO and founder of the knife company. And you know, you can talk with him about, you know, ideas for the knives, or a little bit of more background about the knife, and he's super passionate and happy to talk about that stuff. So that's just really cool. You're not going to find that with any other knife company. So it's worth it to pay that extra few dollars to get that customer service and that passion that you get with Pohl Force knives. And you know, they're limited numbers, so this is limited to 300 pieces with this green canvas micarta. Alright, so same with the G10 black. once they're gone, they're gone. And then you have to go on the aftermarket onto eBay, and then you might find one, like you find the CNC2, MK8, MK9, but you're paying like $1 million and a liver for the thing, right? So get it while they're still reasonably priced compared to the aftermarket, because they go up in value and they hold their value. Another great thing about buying a Pohl Force knife, I know I'm saying this a lot, I'm not trying to sell the company, but like, guys, like, these knives are, I have all these other knives. I have these Benchmade, Spark Rivers, Tops, K-Bar, like I have all these as well, but and I enjoy them, but I love these. Like you can't match them. And that's the nice thing too, to pay that extra few bucks for, is you're going to a knife meet, for example. I go to knife meets all the time. You put all your knives on the table, you pull out a Pohl Force, you're going to be the only one there with a Pohl Force knife. You pull out a Benchmade Adamus or a Tops Operator 7 or something like that, you know, 3 or 4 other people are probably going to have that knife too. And it's kind of just another fixed blade. Even though it's cool, it's kind of just another knife. Whereas these are special, these are unique, these are different, nobody else has them. I'm probably like 1 in 5 guys in all of Canada that has these knives. Probably less than that. So that's really cool. You're not going to have a knife that everyone else has. That's also nice. So not only are you paying for the quality control, you're paying for something that's unique and different, and it's Rambo. Guys, this is where it all started, with the whole knife thing. That's how it started for me, was Rambo First Blood. I saw that First Blood Jimmy Lyle knife, where'd you go, right here, and I was just like, wow, that is so cool. And it just spiraled from there, right? And it went from this to now this, right? It's what inspired Dietmar Pohl to get into knives. Now it's what, 31, 32 years he's been in the business. And you know, this was his inspiration. This was my inspiration. I was in the military for like 21 years. A lot of other guys got into the military and stuff like that were inspired by like the Rambo movies. They wanted to be Rambo. They joined the army and they joined the military and went overseas and served their country and all the rest of it, right? So yeah, we all grew up with First Blood. Here we are in the First Blood Junkyard. Here we are with the Rambo knives. We got Legacy, Quebec 2, MK11, guys. So the Quebec 2 also comes in this Tanini black, right? And it's also extra rust resistant, extra corrosion resistant. It's also D2. Again, awesome heat treat. You can beat the crap out of it. It's going to retain its edge. It's not going to get rusty. So it's a great, nice steel, especially with Pohl Force. And it's a good chopper. It's not too heavy. It's not too light. I have the SE Jungless, which is a comparable knife to this one, for example. About the same size. The Jungless might be a little bit bigger. However, the Jungless chips, the Jungless rusts, and the scales become loose after a few strikes batoning. Unless you Loctite it, and if you Loctite it, you're going to have a hell of a time getting the screws off, and you might strip the screws. However, these have the nice big screws